Velocitize Talks, and I'm Eric Jones. I'm here with Howard Stevens, the tech lead for Strategic Alliance Services with Omnicom. Howard, it's great to have you.
It's great to be here, thanks.
Tell us a little bit about Omnicom and what makes you unique in the marketplace.
Obviously, everyone at our agencies is passionate about their jobs and does phenomenal work and is incredibly creative, and you could say that across the industry. I think one of the things that makes us unique is the collaboration and more the synergies between our agencies and how we're working together, both at my level, at the Omnicom level and strategic services, even organically within the agencies, and how they are kind of bridging the divide and working together to better service our clients.
In your position as tech lead for Strategic Alliance Services, tell us a little bit about the technical priorities that you're looking to address.
First and foremost is driving or eking out the efficiencies and driving technologies that just streamline or remove any of the hurdles and impediments to our agencies being able to do their jobs, right? There are certain things they shouldn't have to worry about or think about. I mean, security and communications, be it email, IM, any of those things we're trying to completely obfuscate from their day-to-day life, right? They should just be table stakes. The second priority, and well, maybe it's the first, but the two really go hand in hand, is giving them the tools they need to innovate, to take advantage of all the evolving technology that's in the space, as well as allow them to evolve, or to drive that evolution.
What's your own process for sort of just staying on top of, let's take MarTech as an example. There's been this massive explosion in the number of MarTech solutions. What's your process for staying on top of all those things, and what are some of the areas that you're looking to create strategic alliances in?
Yeah, I'll say that the landscape is daunting, right? There's well over 5,000 companies if you look at that chart.
The Scott Brinker landscape.
Yeah, and so it's quite honestly, it's impossible to stay on top of that. And to be honest, I'll say I don't try. From my perspective, the agencies themselves are the ones certainly a lot more expert than I'll ever be in it, and they're the ones driving, seeing the need. They're the ones working with the clients, and so me and my team essentially follow their lead, right? They're the ones experimenting with this technology or that technology, and I'm looking across all of Omnicom and seeing where certain things are starting to bubble up, where there is commonality in these technologies, and based on that, are better able to discern where some of the winners or the more valuable technologies exist, and that's where we go after partnerships.
Omnicom, obviously one of the largest holding companies in the world in the advertising space. What are the sort of challenges and opportunities as you see it associated with breaking the silos down among the agencies and looking for areas of cross collaboration?
Traditionally, we've had a lot of, and I guess we still do, have a lot of agencies who have clients who compete, right? So many of those silos are there for a reason. But more and more we're seeing clients who have engaged many of our agencies and want to foster that collaboration. So it's really building technologies or leveraging technologies that enable us to segregate or part and parcel certain projects. So it's not the agency per se that needs to be segregated from a sister or brother agency, but the discrete client work, the projects. And so much of that is, again, is technology driven, but all that security that enables us to do that is the same security that enables us to protect our internal IP and our clients' data from external threats.
In your position, obviously, you're sort of listening to the needs of the various agencies that are sort of your clients in a sense, and then they're in turn listening to their clients. As you have these sort of listening tours that you're on, what are some of the big things that you see, the commonalities that are bubbling up across the various agencies?
Yeah, I mean, I had an interesting conversation with the chief creative officer of one of our agencies a couple of weeks ago, who mentioned that her team is running 1 million miles a minute, and is, finds that, they experiment, and of course they're keeping up with the latest and greatest technologies, but don't really have the time, to sit down and foster cross collaboration, right? To teach each other, right? Everyone's, working on billable work. So one of the things we did, we created essentially a day, which was a big investment on this agency's part, and made everyone non-billable for a day, so that we had vendors come in and learn technologies, and specifically creative technologies. So in the course of that exercise, she had mentioned that I guess the theme of the day was shifting the story, right? How traditionally marketers have been very focused on telling the brand story to consumers, and shifting the story essentially meant, how do we tell the story in a way that resonates personally to you? So, and she gave a great example of, driving home, you see a speed limit sign, right? Which is communicating a message to you that you shouldn't be going any faster than 30 miles an hour. And you may or may not pay attention, right? Most people probably don't. And then a little later in her journey, she saw a sign that said, drive like your children play here. And she said, you know what? That resonated with me. She's like, it's the same, it's trying to communicate the same message, right? But that one resonated. And since she's said that, I've certainly been a lot more attuned, and recently saw, I'm sure everyone's seen it, where there's digital signs where they actually show you your speed as you're driving. Mm-hmm. And that one resonated with me a lot because someone's watching. So I think, shifting the story and leveraging these many, many technologies that are out there, that allow personalization of the message, as well as the time and day and place of delivery, is where everyone's head's at, and there's a lot to keep abreast with. But that is, it's important to carve out the time to be able to to keep up with it all and become specialists in one or many of them.
Right. What have been some of the big changes that you've observed through the course of your career from a tech perspective? What's the biggest change?
I would say the pervasiveness of technology. It's everywhere. It's integral to the success of every project, every initiative, and each and every one of them, regardless of which technology we're talking about, I think is becoming more and more complex and requires a level of specialization and understanding. Whether it's on the kind of back office side of the house or the client-facing side of the house, technology is an integral part of each and every facet of the organization.
Absolutely. Speed is probably one of the biggest things that's most important to clients today. And tech certainly plays a role in helping to speed up, the various work that your agencies are doing on behalf of clients. Tell us about some of the the initiatives that you're working on to sort of help speed that velocity of work.
Standardizing the back office and commodity aspects of IT, right? So that the agencies themselves don't need to be thinking about or concerned with, and they can shift their focus into the more creative, innovative, and client-driven aspects of technology. By far and away the most the biggest focus for us is security. It's an essential part of every organization, big or small, and many of the threats out there, don't necessarily care if you're big or small. If you're hosting valuable data, it's
you're a target.
You're a target. You can be right, 99.9% of the time, but it only takes them that once. So being able to deliver that level of mature security and really concentrating all our efforts on fortifying our operations enables them to focus on what they do best.
Do you see that crawling into even RFPs, like where there are entire sections devoted to clients asking?
Unequivocally, yeah, for some time now, sure.
Given your position, what are you most excited about from a technology perspective set to potentially disrupt the advertising industry?
Yeah, I don't. I'll be honest. I don't know that I'm close enough or qualified enough to answer that question. There's certainly people, but from a more personal or my perspective, I guess, would be artificial intelligence. I do think AI is going to have a profound effect on multiple industries and many aspects of our lives, and certainly advertising would be no exception. And when you tie AI back to all the data and personalization of ads, ad buying and so many aspects of advertising can be done dynamically on the fly, making ads a lot more relevant and personal. And I think we'll see that, and we're probably starting to see that already.
More and more automation kind of crawling into
Sure.
everything. One of the questions we love asking is, a book or a podcast that you'd like to recommend to our viewers.
Stay tuned with Preet Bharara. It has been exceptional.
Mm-hmm.
So I would strongly recommend.
Awesome.
Recommend that. Yeah.
Thanks, Howard.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
It was a pleasure. I'm glad for the invite. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was Howard Stevens, Technology Lead for Strategic Alliance Services with Omnicom.